It's really got to be drilled.
He's got him on his back.
When we talk about a low ceiling,
Lightning fast.
Sidakov is hands down one of the best head outside finishers that's currently competing and maybe of all time. I mean, he gets his head outside and his conversion rate's super high, and he proved it again at this Worlds. So we're going to take a look at some of his head outside finishes. Here in this first clip, we'll start to get an understanding of some of his cleaner finishes. So when he attacks and gets his head outside right away. He's got a couple different ways of getting there. Here, we're going to see his kind of swim. Okay. Now, I would say in an ideal scenario for Sidakov, he's able to get his outside hand down the guy's leg right away. So somewhere around sock or heel area. That way, when he starts to shift weight across, he can start to straighten the guy's leg out, which makes most finishes a lot easier. All right, in these clean ones, he's going to hit most of the time, if not all the time, his inside shoulder above the guy's knee. All right, so people talk about hip pocket a lot. I think that's fair to say, but I really think he's just aiming anywhere above the guy's knee so that when he does get this outside hand down the leg, he has something to pull against where his shoulder kind of blocks this way. If he hits below the knee, which we'll look at later on, if he hits below the knee, the guy's still going to be able to bend that leg, where what Sidakov wants to do is start to get this guy's foot kind of in front of their own knee. All right, so he drops that outside hand to start to accomplish that. Shoulder above the knee. And a couple other things he does really well. His angle to the finish is almost always across. If he's straight on, it can kind of be a little bit different where he's going, but I mean, his body from the outside to his inside shoulder typically runs a line across the opponent's body. And the last thing he does a really good job of is keeping his foot kind of hidden. This inside one makes it hard for guys to grab. Again, it kind of keeps that angle that I was talking about with his body. So his foot stays inside, and then this knee, his inside knee also stays inside, and his hip will be outside of those two things just a little bit, which will also help this weight shift. So if a guy does happen to reach for this foot, he ends up just moving out of the way, and it's a much longer reach anyway, and the guy will kind of pivot and fall right off him. But here we just see a clean weight shift to double off finish. So his inside hand is going to go from between the legs on his high crotch to across and finish. And again, this foot will move a little bit this direction as he's finishing. This one's going to be another kind of swim attack. Same type of kind of weight shift finish. Gets a little bit more to his feet here. All right, so we see him attack. And then as he slides to this corner, we're going to see where his outside hand has gotten to the heel. All right, again, inside shoulder somewhere above the knee. And then the angle at which he's finishing is up and across, right? So same kind of things. Again, he's hiding his foot really well. So hand to heel, so he can start to pull this foot to straighten the leg. Shoulder above knee, so the leg will go straight when he pulls it. And then gets kind of the lean motion going to get the weight shift across. Now we can see that leg get super straight. And then into a simple finish. Here we're going to see a little bit different of an entry where he outside anchors first, kind of like an ankle pick, and then gets the guy's leg straight right away. So level change, outside hand, drops low. This knee's gonna skip in. And again, shoulder ends up right on or barely above the guy's knee, and he continues to slide up. All right, now we can see where he starts to use his outside hand to pull this guy's foot back toward him, and it's going to knock him right off balance this direction. Leg goes straight, really hard to finish, plus it gives him the space to double off to that far leg, and you can kind of see how straight that guy's far leg is. And again, great job hiding his foot, weight shifting across. Very similar to last clip, same entry. This time comes all the way up to his feet, shifts weight across, and finishes. All right, so we see him drop low, hand outside, knee follows in. Again, shoulder starting to get above knee, outside hand down toward the ankle heel. Again, look at the angle at which he's driving up at, shifting the guy's weight across. And as he continues to move and still shift the guy's weight with that lean, this outside hand dropping back toward the ankle. And this is starting to look a little more crackdown-ish, but still same stuff. Gets that leg straight, gets some space to reach his opposite hand across the double leg, and then drives across. Which you really don't see his hands stay locked all that often for this type of finish. He's typically hand split, get that leg straight, shift weight, and then score. Same idea here. It's going to drop in low, knee slide up and in, keep that weight shifted across for his score. Again, these are all pretty similar ideas. Drops in. Now as he slides up. So this hand's controlling around the knee. This one, again, low ankle, shoulder above the knee. Starts to get that lean to shift the guy's weight. And you can see what happens to the opponent's leg as he starts to come to his feet. Pushing back with this low hand. As he comes up, we see the guy's heel get in front of his own knee and hip. So his leg is making a line back toward his butt, which is typically not a good angle for defense. And he gets that space to double off. And then finish out of bounds. So this one ends up just being a step out, but here we get to see him kind of build up and then drop his hand down to the ankle to start to get that weight shift. Swim for his entry here. Now we're going to see his hands are pretty low, but obviously not in great position. So as he starts to get back to this side of his opponent's body, and again, starting to hide this ankle, if he leaves this thing out, it's going to get grabbed, and he's going to get stalemated or have a harder time finishing. All right, so as he starts to get this lean back into his opponent, we see this outside hand start to drop. Once it drops, we can see where his opponent goes from foot in the mat to only heel in the mat, and the toes will be off the mat. So right here, toes are off the mat. He's got control of the ankle. Leg is super straight. Gets that space to start to change off the double. Starts to weight shift. Has to recover his position. Again, still trying to get that opponent's leg back straight. Where we see when he gets off balance here, they're able to start bending their knee, right? If he pulls this direction, knee can bend. He wants to try and pull it in towards himself. So here he starts to pull that thing back in and then runs across for a step out point. This clip, he's going to have to work through a lot of different kind of positions. All right, we see the opponent doing a good job kind of shifting his head, moving him inside and outside. And again, I think Sidakov would prefer to be head outside on this leg. Ends up getting his score. Swim attack. Now, here we see hands are at knee. He doesn't have control of the guy's ankle or heel yet. Right? But here, the guy's going chest wrap, and as soon as he steps this foot back in, Sidakov's immediately going to take this outside hand and start looking to control the guy's heel. We see it drop right there. Now the guy knows not a great spot for him, so he's going to try and change his defense by looking to throw Sidakov's head inside. Sidakov does a good job of keeping that position. And here we can start to see where leaving that foot behind could be an issue. With this lean and weight shift, it's going to be really hard for his opponent to get good control of it. And again, as soon as he starts to feel it lift up, he's going to slide laces down and take his foot back and away. All right, so we don't just see it pivot. We're actually going to see his leg kind of extend a little bit in order to make it a longer reach so that the guy loses his grip. And he's still, even doing that, he's on this angle to weight shift with his body. Shoulder still above knee, hand still below. Now, as he starts to recover his position back inside with this leg, we see him hide his foot right away. He doesn't leave that thing sticking out to the side to get taken again. Rotates up, head ends up coming inside. Changes his grip, probably likes it more for head inside. Rotates his head back outside. Again, hand split again. Controlling below, or excuse me, low with this outside hand. Lifts high, forwards finish. Similar stuff here. This time he's going to end up actually in a cradle position. But a lot of the same concepts apply. His initial position is still very similar. He's going to do that outside reach entry to the heel. Slide back knee in. Now, again, controlling outside. Inside shoulder on. So that he can start to look to get this leg straight by moving this foot, or at least stopping it from moving. Yep. Leg straight. Really hard to deal with. Opponent starts to turn away to try and kick out. Stays in good control. Here, when the opponent goes to like inside reach or switch this position, we see Sidakov hiding his foot right away and start to get his hip in to get weight on that position. Lifts that leg high. He's going to punch his back arm deep. Other hand just rotates over top. Elbow's in a good spot, right next to his neck. And I'm sure his back elbow is right behind the guy's knee. And then finishes with a cradle.